everybody, welcome back to another week of Legends. This week I have the honor and the pleasure to highlight not only one of my favorite athletes from the early 90s and the 80s. I'm talking about no other than the all-purpose, all-around athlete, phenomenal showstopper, primetime television had to see kind of talent. I'm talking about no other than Raghib Ismail, better known as Rocket Ismail for many of us that grew up watching him.
The Rocket at the 10. And he's corralled for a moment, breaks into the clear. One man to beat, and he won't get him. The Rocket Ismail has done it again.
Rocket hails from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of New Jersey. He would get the nickname Rocket due to an early school track coach. Rocket would also take that speed and dynamic ability off the track into the football field, where he would earn himself a scholarship to the Notre Dame. In that 1988 freshman year, Rocket would participate in 11 games. In those 11 games, he would be everything and more that the Irish would hope for. He would have 12 catches for over 300 yards and a pair of touchdowns, as well as adding to the end zone as a returnman and setting South Bend on fire. In that undefeated season, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish would find themselves as national champions. In his sophomore campaign, he would not only go on to top what he did as a freshman, but he would throw himself in the ranks of Heisman Trophy candidates. In that year, he would go for over 1,600 yards. Check this out. As a rusher, he would have over 470 yards rushing. As a receiver, he would have over another 500 yards receiving. And as a specialist in the returnman, yes, another 500 yards or more. In that junior year, Rocket would have over 1,700 yards. In that season, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish would go on and lose to the eventual national champions, the Miami Hurricanes. But he would be the second leading vote getter in the Heisman Trophy Awards. Foregoing his senior year, already a national champion, a national name, his talent would not only have the NFL itching to bring him alongside, but there was also the CFL. Raghib will be offered the opportunity of a lifetime. He could be the #1 pick in the NFL draft, which was slated to be the Dallas Cowboys. CFL will offer Rocket a 4-year, $18 million contract. At the time, per average a year, it was more than some of the teams that he would go up against salary cap. It was actually making one of the highest paid in professional football, period, NFL included. This 4-year deal will land Rocket in Toronto as an Argonaut. In his rookie year in that campaign, not only would he lead that team to a Grey Cup, but he would find himself MVP of that very game. In that second year as an Argonaut, he would still go on and have success. Individually, he would go on to break records, setting a CFL record for return yards in the season. After that year though, like most things that's not solidified and have stability, the CFL and the ownership there was seen to start finally trouble the waters. Raghib will see the writing on the wall and ask for his release. Rewind to the 91 season. Although Rocket would select the CFL over the NFL, in that draft, the Raiders would take Raghib Ismail right and select him in the 4th round. His first 3 years in the National Football League as a Raider, his skill set would be on display, finding the end zone 9 times for only 1,300 yards combined. Whatever the reason was, not being able to be teamed up with the right personnel, coaches unable to solidify and use all his skill set that he had available to them, the success that he had in Notre Dame and in Toronto just didn't happen in the Raiders uniform. The Raiders would then trade Ismail to the Carolina Panthers. And in this trade, he would spend 3 years there in Carolina, playing primarily wide receiver. He would progressively get better each and every year. He would find pay dirt and gold in that 3rd season, going for over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. That year, he would parlay that success, 6 years in the National Football League. His NFL journey would come full circle. Once thought to be the #1 pick overall for the Dallas Cowboys, he would find himself as a free agent, signing with that very team. The Cowboys would take Ismail, and he would post career highs. He would have over 80 catches for 1,097 yards and 6 touchdowns in that first initial season with the Cowboys. The next 2 seasons, the year 2000, he would participate in 9 games. In the year 2001, he would play in 14 of those games, going for over 800 yards. But in 2003, it would all come to an end. At the age of 34, Raghib would decide to retire from the game of football in the National Football League altogether. The thing about Rocket, and for me as a kid, I would always recall just seeing him run up and down the sideline seemingly untouched many of the times. Every teammate knew that if Rocket was in the open field, more than likely, it was like a Steph Curry 3-pointer. He was going to the house. His football journey is one that I don't think is told enough. But in 2019, he'll be elected into the College Football Hall of Fame. But like many of us, we have to metamorphose into something else. And the one thing I will say about Rocket and watching him from afar as a kid and now up close personal, serving as a colleague, as one of his brothers in the Legends community, Rocket is that person in the room that every legend wants to represent them. He has a heart full of gold, his mind is inquisitive, and anytime he speaks up, you best be sure I'm listening.